Well, a very good morning and nice to have you with us in this segment of the topical discussion. My name is Simon Kagwanjala and my guest this morning is the embattled former leader of opposition, currently parliamentary commissioner, who is going through a storm that's ripping through the National Unity platform, pitting him against the principal, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi. But what's at the center of all this? Could it be more than what meets the eye? And what is next for him as he goes through these troubles? A very good morning, Honorable Mpuuga. Nice to have you.
Good morning, Simon and viewers.
Well, how are you weathering the dire straits?
Well, I think some humans are made for particular situations. I simply could be one of them. That, especially when you understand what you're dealing with, and then it's easier to deal with it. It's more difficult when you're facing something invisible, potentially unknown. But if you get to understand what's around you, what you're dealing with, the intention, the motivation, then you are able to carry on. So I am able to rise every day and carry on and be able to do what people expect me to do.
There's a sense that you're swimming alone and your colleagues have forsaken you.
Who are the colleagues?
The party where you belong.
Well, I don't know whether you know what the party is about. The biggest mistake you can make is to imagine that the party is about its leaders. A party is a very big thing. It's a very big entity. And because you're not going to press a microphone in front of everyone, and it's not necessary that everybody speaks unless necessary. So you probably do not have the right information.
Yeah, but
have you been able to sample, you being a journalist, have been able to sample the rank and file of my party to make that conclusion? Or you're motivated by what you confront on your phone every day, engineered and aligned to serve you that?
Yeah, but there is a sense when you look at the storm, for instance, online. I think it speaks to the general picture in which you're being held now by the party and the kind of booing that you've had in recent days.
By who?
Members of the party, sympathizers in this case.
Simon, I think we are reading from different pages. The difference between me and you and those who erroneously think like you is that I touch and feel the rank and file of the party every day. When you scan through what you have called as social media, I don't know what percentage of the party it represents. But from my own knowledge, which is practical, it's not even 5% of the party that you are talking about. Secondly, you've got to understand when people organize goons to boo you and the organic response from others, of course, that's how low we have sunk, that we can expend so much time and energy and resources to try and portray our own as terrible, but not even an ounce of the same energy expended on the real enemies of the people, on the group, on the cabal that has misruled us for all this long. But we are comfortable going for soft spots so that we can appear to be occupied. Being a lot in action, but actually not in emotion. So I think it's a form of satisfying diversion to some people to appear to be working. Maybe it makes them happy. Who might stop people from being happy?
Do you imagine the party now looks at you as a villain?
Do you want to define to the viewers what a party is.
The National Unity Platform.
What is the party?
The party where you claim to be a founder.
What is a party? I don't claim. Do I claim?
Well, you've come out invariably to say, I am a founder of the party, which has been disputed.
By who?
The leadership, the top leadership of the party says you joined the party.
Who in particular? Assuming I joined, do my rights become any less? So do the founders have superior rights over those who join subsequently, in your view? And did you find their argument logical? Does that justify the treatment of a member, founder, or John come lately? Does that justify the treatment?
Okay, you were suspended from the office of Deputy President. Was this indefinite? And how are you taking it in?
Well, Simon, I never gave it a lot of attention because it's not founded on any legal basis in our constitution. But I thought it was not necessary for me to escalate a battle that's not premised on principle or law, but spite. Because whoever did it knows that actually it's not clothed in the party constitution. It was motivated by probably personal gratification and the need to show off power, which is very dangerous. But I never came out to speak out about it because it's inconsequential.
Do you still carry the title of Deputy President of the party?
Do I have to carry paracards to carry it?
Are you the Deputy President? The person who appointed you is the person who relieved you.
Yeah, you see, appointments are clothed in law. If you appoint me, it's not a matter of magnanimity. It's because your powers clothed in a constitution, so you exercise them. Where you do not have those powers to suspend, you cannot exercise them. And the beauty is that I know the party constitution, I know the powers of the president. The president has some powers to do certain things. Suspending a deputy president, at least, is not one of them. That's why I never reverted in a manner that would portray or disrespect my president. I simply said, well, maybe he wants to be happy.
When you say that you never responded in a way that offends him, by saying Kyagulanyi is under siege in your reply to the letter, do you think that was in good faith? Could you elaborate on this still?
Not for Simon. The person I wrote to probably understands better the context. Because NUP being a young party, there are lots of forces tagging back and forth. And I get the sense that my president is caught up in these kind of forces, compressional and attentional, and probably he has not given it time to understand these forces, how and where they are pulling from. He knows the forces, but I think he's not given it time to fully appreciate and figure out the best way.
Without sounding ambiguous, who are these forces? Who are you referring to that's holding the party under siege?
Like I said, it's not for Simon's consumption, but I thought I should bring it to his attention just in case he has forgotten that you've got to take care of your surroundings, because a party is a national asset, it's a public good, and therefore you cannot use it to dispense, you cannot use it to satisfy your ego, to serve those around you. It's a big issue, and therefore whatever action you take, you must put into consideration the fact that the stakeholders are various, and therefore you don't simply take a decision because you're angry and your anger has no premise but spite.
Do you look at NUP as a party anchored on taking power?
As far as I know, yes. The question would be, are the actions we undertake currently or recently driving us in that kind of direction, that we're actually serious about power, or we have reach a stage where we feel a sense of satisfaction in so far what we have achieved. You know, there's a whole man of danger when you, in the short term, you make some gains that you do not expect. So you fall into the trap of short-term satisfaction. Sometimes I am tempted to get the feel that probably some of us at the top echelons of the party feel that they have overachieved, and therefore, even if it ends there, they've written history. To some of us, it's not yet Uhuru. There's so much to do. First of all, the party itself hasn't formed and gelled as an organization. We have never left our formation stages to take the party to the second stage of performance. We are still in formation and conflict, and therefore we've not been able to find time, adequate time, ample time, good time for deeper thinking into what the party ought to go into in the interim.
Yeah, but it rests on you as a leader of the party. You've not anchored, or you've not chosen to take the direction of growing the party from formative stage.
You know, Simon, depends on what you know and what I know. I don't know how much you know, but I will tell you that without regret, over the last 3 years, I have invested my time into trying to interest colleagues into making this party a national party, into taking this party to the people, not simply sloganeering about the existence of the party. Build formidable, dependable structures. Build a culture, a party culture. Build leadership. Mobilize, train, and deploy leaders. This we haven't done. We're simply still in 2021 election mode. And for me, that poses the biggest danger to the party. Because for you to be able to build an enduring organization, you must lean back and do particular things the way they're supposed to be done in building an organization. Unfortunately, over the last 3 years, we haven't found time to do that. And I think that partly explains how we have handled this, what you have called a crisis. Because if we had enduring, formidable party structures, systems, and party culture, probably this could have been handled a little better.
Which is a conversation you've held with the party president at any given moment?
Not just the president alone, but with the top leadership of the party.
And
I have been consistent in insisting that the party needs to be structured. We have not had occasion to produce a new party constitution. We're still working with an old constitution, which is very problematic.
I thought it was posted to Electoral Commission for gazetting, the new amended constitution.
Yeah, when you gazette, you must return the constitution to the national, to the delegates conference, and declare it a valid constitution of the party. That has not been done. The constitution is still with the EC, and the gazetting got into issues. So that's not a new constitution. We still use the old constitution. So the constitution alone, but there are things we would have done practically with or without a new constitution. There are issues, there are actions we would have taken over the last 3 years to try and make the party more formidable, more visible, anchored on to the wishes of the people, have it in the hands of the people. The party is still at the headquarters and in a few towns. And when you go there, the leadership is still interim. And that's very problematic. And before you know it, the ruling party has had a take, it's recruiting, it is organizing. They have had power for 40 years. We don't have power. We cannot go back to an election in the same shape we were 3 years ago. And I hasten to add that, unfortunately, we seem to be focused on the next election, but not organizing for the next election. That is very problematic.
Well, I've read quite a number of correspondences that you've made ever since this crisis started. there seems to be a deep sense of regret and frustration that things are not working your way. Is it time for Mpuuga to quit the National Unity Platform?
Simon, things are not supposed to work my way. Things are supposed to work the party way. The party must be allowed to operate as a party, not as a small kiosk.
Who is suffocating NUP that it cannot operate?
I will not personalize the challenges in NUP because it's not necessary. All I'm saying is that whoever has the duty to have no function as a party hasn't done the job they're supposed to do. You recollect,
including yourself.
At least I'm on record insisting that things be done right. And I cannot regret that. Okay. Because it's not that I don't know what's supposed to be done. It would be different if I did not know what is supposed to be done. And in my position, in my vintage position, I have been breathing down the necks of colleagues that we get things done right, such that the party has a structure. You see, a party is like a shoe. Once the size is agreed upon, you fit in. If it doesn't fit you, you don't remove the sole or the laces. You must be able to fit within the party as built. But we are yet to come up with an enduring party structure, a party culture in which all of us must fit. Apparently, in our current situation, everyone is carrying a piece of what they're able to carry, and that is a party in pieces. I'm saying that apparently the way things are, because we haven't yet built a culture, everyone is carrying away a piece of the party, and the party is not together. That for me portends danger for the legacy of this party and for the ambitions and the goals for which this party was founded. For me, I contend that we are running out of time, and the earlier all of us realize that there is all manner of danger in not aligning the party to the aspirations of the people and get it away from the small ambitions and whims of individuals, short-term in nature, we shall have ourselves to blame as leaders and as stakeholders in the party.
You've widely talked about cliquism, family cliquism, spite, disrespect, and backstabbing within the party. Yeah. How deep are these issues that you raise?
Deep or not deep?
And where do they start from?
Deep or not deep, we don't need them. In fact, by talking about them in earnest, they should be nipped in the bud. And the best way of nipping them is by building a political culture, a party system, a party culture that does not facilitate, that does not incubate cliquism, spite, and the nature. You talked about goons being organized to come and help me at a public function. That was official, funded. And you see, the beauty is that because I'm within and deep into the party, I get to know who does what.
Do you have evidence to this? That
what kind of,
that
do you want it
hired to heckle you?
Do you want it documentary? You want it, in which form do you want the evidence?
No, it sounds unfounded.
Did you see that
were these organized goons?
Did you see that being done by everyone or a small group? You were a journalist and you followed. Was it everywhere or in a small circle? Was that by accident? So these are the kind of things that some of our leaders expend time and resources on. It's not necessary. Unfortunately, time is the biggest enemy of politics. And when you are doing that, the clock is ticking away.
There's every impression that the changes that you're seeking within NUP will not take shape. Why don't you quit?
Well, it's not anybody's job to advise him to quit. I think I'm clothed with enough wisdom to know what to do in politics. Did anybody invite me to join? It was a personal decision. And the quitting can never be a solution to problems.
No, you were trying to find a home, having had quite a number of troubles within the Democratic Party.
So when a snake enters your house, you demolish it and build a new one? You simply must go for the snake and have it out.
Are you going for the snake now?
I am emboldening stakeholders to speak out. you see a lot of quietness, which you talked about, you refer to as abandonment. People are cowed to speak. So you cannot run an organization where people can't speak. Only a few can speak, and with authority to speak. Where members of parliament are so timid to talk about how the party is managed. Can I simply tell you, Simon, that the issues within the party that really make this all look terrible are not so many, but simply mismanagement, indiscipline, and lack of clarity.
Yeah, but the party says they're doing this within the ambits of the values of the party, and the discipline is one of them. They are disciplining you for the bonanza.
So you discipline somebody for wrongdoing. First of all, you declare them guilty, and then you tell them to come and enter plea. Simon, you are guilty, but in the meantime, come and make your case. So what do you take of that? Did you say that, or I'm wrong?
Probably you're right.
Yeah, so how do you deal with that?
Okay, by the time this matter exploded of 500 million shillings, were there back and forth engagements?
Not to my knowledge.
When have you spoken to your principal, for instance, to get this ironed out?
I've not had occasion to, because I think he has had a catalogue of things to do with this matter. First of all, declare me guilty. Then secondly, ask me to come and make my case. Then thirdly, suspend me. So I deal with that.
How much?
That's why I talk about the fact that I think my friend and leader is under siege. Because who makes him make all those mistakes, one after another?
How much betrayal do you harbor from your friend, the person you call your friend, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi?
Unfortunately, I am devoid of anger. I only harbor deep concern, because the building of NUP to where it is was out of a huge, immense, deep sacrifice by so many people. It involved a lot of deep thinking, sacrifice, and therefore this could easily go to naught if leaders see themselves alone in the mirror and believe that whoever has a contrary view on how the party should be managed is an enemy. That for me is the concern. I don't harbor anger, because we have so little time and so much to do to be angry with each other.
Yeah, but naturally you'd imagine that the person you assume to be a friend would handle you in a collegial manner.
It's a natural reaction that anybody would go out over their way to try and tarnish my name and then feel a sense of self-satisfaction. That you go out of your way to call a press conference, to go to funerals. I have not seen that being done to enemies of this country. You've seen so much energy, so much resources invested in painting me the way individuals in the NUP tried. I am not sure they have succeeded, but a lot has been invested into that. To what consequence? Time will tell. I'm a believer in time, that's why I'm not angry, but I'm concerned, because Simon, to be what I am, takes a bit of time. You don't wake up to become Matthias Mpuuga. Assuming for academic purposes, Matthias Mpuuga made a mistake. Let's argue for academic purposes. So then, how would you handle a nation if you found a country in a crisis in Karamoja, a crisis in Kabale, one in Zombo? Would you bomb the country? So I think it puts into perspective a number of questions, the readiness of some of us to offer leadership, even when faced with a crisis. Leadership is about facing challenges and finding solutions.
You plunged the party into this crisis.
How?
By, for instance, coming out to say you're not willing to step down from the position of Commission of Parliament over the cash bonanza, the service award?
I think, Simon, you are dragging us into a matter that has been legally settled. If you think this is not lawful, I think if people should have a right to challenge it. But because I know that there's nothing wrong with it, then I have no reason to back down over blackmail.
Okay, you're legally right. Perhaps. How about morally? Do you think this
Simon,
stands
I
morally?
am a member of the commission, the same commission that gave car grants to members of parliament. Did they resign? Because the public had issues with it. But was everyone a leader of the opposition in that parliament? I was the leader of the opposition in parliament. And the same commission, its wisdom, thought so. So how do you call me a thief? And you want, you go out of your way to invest party resources into convincing the world and everyone that Matthias Mpuuga is a thief.
That's painful,
And you are serious. And you want me to take you seriously. You know? I think it is spite. It's an act of spite. The moment I understood that, which is why my anger subsided, I said, okay, there's a problem. We can deal with the problem.
Well, going by the different correspondences and, of course, the current situation, there's every picture of irreconcilable differences between you and the party leadership. In the first place, is it irreconcilable? And are you open to talks to resolve this outside the cameras?
Irreconcilable is your word. As long as individuals realize their mistake, it's up to them to climb down their high horse and they say, we think this was badly handled. So when that is done, what is my reaction subsequently will be from my heart to make a choice as whether I am able to carry on, okay, or not. But for anybody to remain on the high horse and make a claim out of space and common sense is something I cannot accept.
Is it true that you've been contacted by institutions like the Kingdom?
Are you one of the institutions?
I'm asking.
If they had wanted Simon to know, they would have made a public announcement. But I have not been contacted for the record.
Behind the scenes, are there talks to reconcile you with Honorable Chagule?
Behind the scenes, I am not behind the scenes. We will speak to the people who are behind those scenes. I am not one of them.
You spoke of doing stakeholder engagements, speaking to members, speaking to colleagues to see the next step. How are these engagements going?
I am doing a lot of engagement with colleagues within and without NUP. And I'm doing a lot of listening because it's a huge and deep concern that at this stage in its infant life, NUP would be discussing this, but not how to lead the country to the next agenda. As the vanguard opposition party, we expected to be doing different things at this stage. The preoccupation seems to be different, and therefore not preparation to lead the country and the people of Uganda into the next phase of the struggle for total liberation. So I'm doing a lot of listening. I speak to so many people, and out of that, probably, because there's nothing like a personal decision about politics at this stage. You need to listen to people, and then out of the aggregation of the ideas that you collect from people, then you're able to think through your options out of a consultative process.
NUP is but part of a bigger scheme of things, the broader politics of the opposition, where at least every party now is facing some bit of crisis. No wonder today we see Colonel Dr. Chiza Besigye back on the political scene. Would you consider probably a new formation outside the traditional parties that seem to be now challenged?
You know, Simon, as long as the environment disables the performance of parties, formation of party or what, we always find a problem. What is very important is the commitment of the duty bearers in those platforms. Dr. KB, as we fondly refer to him, has been consistent on so many things. And I wouldn't call it a return. He's at what he's been convinced about for all these years. And the only difference is that while he had taken a bit of backstep, he's probably now taken a step forward to say, hey, come on, guys. There seems to be some form of slumber that has the potential of giving the wrong impression as to the stakeholders. And when he comes back to say, can you rise and we do something different? He's been consistent about the fact that elections don't work. He seems to be trying to dissuade the opposition from going for the next election without meaningful reforms. My party president just announced that he will contest in the next election. That clearly shows that the two are at court purpose. Despite the several interactions, we haven't yet hammered an agreement as to what needs to be done by the joint platform of the opposition. That itself is a big challenge, that the opposition speaks in tongues, that the opposition has yet, for all this long, has not yet found reason to move and speak together, is a huge challenge. Secondly, if you do not want elections, and therefore we need to have plan B, is it been consulted upon? If you announce that you will contest, is that pronouncement consulted upon or is it personal? These are the issues. So can you take back the opposition in an election without demanding for meaningful constitutional and electoral reforms? Remember in 2022, Simon, I congregated the opposition to discuss the idea of constitutional and electoral reforms. You remember the reaction of my party to my proposals? Now, immediately, we hear an announcement of our contest. I have a huge problem with a decision to contest without reforms. And they also were saying that we should not even think about contestation. So these are huge challenges, and they're not insurmountable. The opposition must honestly sit on a round table and agree on what is workable before it's late. If you are going to go back in an election where a Wanubi Abakama has just had a reappointment without a new skin, without new ethos around the law and practice, so what do you expect? In the meantime, General Museveni seems to have settled his ambition of a monarch, because in appointing his son as CDF, he has a heir apparent, a co-president. If you studied the recently made realignments into the UPDF structure, the CDF can actually now take a decision just as the commander-in-chief would, meaning that for him, he has settled his own internal succession issues. All of us have been working to ensure that that does not take place, that General Museveni does not build a monarch in this country. Now that we are scattered, and the key leaders seems to be investing out of their time in trying to bring down colleagues as a form of satisfaction, we have a problem.
Who derives satisfaction from bringing you down?
Oh, well, you're asking a necessary question. You have seen how much investment has been made all over, you know. And when people speak, you believe that the world has ended. That's why they will tell you the law is okay, but there's a problem with, you know, with morality. And that's the end. So we have a problem. That's why I'm saying the opposition must give the country hope. There's no reason why the FDC Katonga, FDC Najanankumbi, whatever is remaining of my old party DP, whatever is forming of NUP, all of us must subordinate our interests to the demands of the people who desire change.
As we take a break, Honorable Mpuuga, if by your admission that some leaders in the party are spiteful towards you, has this just started yesterday with this bonanza?
Well, first of all, I decline to use your words. There was no such bonanza. If it was a bonanza would herald something done out of the law and the provisions within which we work. So there was no such thing as a bonanza. Secondly, because an organization is built in a hierarchy, you can understand when at formation there are issues. Because this NUP is the collective of various actors from different social, political, civic backgrounds. It is understandable that at formation, people speak different languages, and you try to move to the center so that you speak the same language. But at the second stage of conflict, when people use that to try and undermine others deliberately, then you know that probably there are those in the party that either are scared of others or actually prefer to run the party as a small kiosk for them to thrive. That they fear the bigger emboldened party, that they cannot survive. They prefer to swim in a small, probably sandy pond, not a swimming pool, where ideas fly, and therefore the aggregation of the same must find you there and you must fit in. Where ideas portray you as a problem because you harbor different ideas, then you have a very huge problem in a party. So apparently, NUP is failing to exit the second stage of organizational formation, which is conflict. And because we haven't evolved an internal conflict management mechanism. When I was LOP, I had to endure a lot of challenges within and without the party to be able, because I had a duty to keep the opposition together in parliament and also to grow and embolden my members from NUP that were new in that space, new to politics, new to parliament. And therefore, I had to have my shock absorbers at their best to be able to carry through all these challenges of individuals, of organizational building, of people who either are scared of me or do not understand me. You were reporting with me as NBS from the field, wherever I would go. The field activities I was making to try and expose the regime, were discomforting some members, some leaders in NUP, because the argument was that, you see, that man is marketing himself. He wants to compete for president, as if that were a crime. But I was doing the role of the leader of the opposition. I lead of the opposition. So that office is a very serious office. That's why it must be occupied by serious people. Probably. You have to go out of your way to do things which ordinary members or leaders in the party do not do. And that's what I was doing. That in a way also caused problems. And I remember in one of my several visits, members were being called, members of parliament were being called not to go with me to the field. I found that not just objectionable, but quite telling of the quality of some of the people we work with. But I think that was a small bit, was able to overcome that, and I made it clear to all and sundry why the LOP must be able to go out of his way to do what I was doing, including Simon meeting, because the LOP's office is the public office. In that office, when you're there, you receive all manner of persons, government ministers, permanent secretaries, All sorts of people come to you, religious leaders, and when they come to you, it's not because they're your friends, but because you are in occupation of a public office in which you must discharge a public duty, not to friends, but to the taxpayer. That's what I was doing. And I am advised it was a source of discomfort to so many in my party.
Well, the same way you advised Honorable Senyonyi to read the book How to Hug a Porcupine, perhaps it's the same way I would advise you to read the 48 Rules of Power.
Well,
you know rule number 1?
It's up to you to interpret it. Interpretation is very...
We'll take a break. Good morning. Welcome back. Still having a conversation with the man in the eye of the storm, Honorable Matthias Mpuuga, Member of Parliament for Nyendo Mukungwe. Well, ever since this crisis broke out, you've snubbed party events. Is this deliberate? You made no show at the presentation of the alternative budget. You've made no show at party events.
It is deliberate. I'm not sick. Because sometimes you need to keep away from some people's space for your own peace and for their deeper imagination of issues. I'm human, and therefore I cannot pretend about the fact that I get a sense of discomfort to be in the face of individuals who spite me, despite the fact that I have made a huge contribution to lift them to where they are. I feel a sense of betrayal, and as a human, I keep away a bit. My keeping away is not permanent, but to enable them to reflect on what they're doing, and probably, if it gives them happiness, I want them to be happy. I don't want to disrupt their peace and happiness.
Well, you referred in your letter to Lina Zedriga that you've had engagements with her on the direction that the party is taking. Does she share your sentiment, or you seem to be at different wavelengths?
Dr. Lina Zedriga is a very respected lady, hugely experienced in the public space. And I have had engagements with her, just like other senior leaders, about the direction of the party. And she seems to share same sentiments. So I was just trying to remind her that lest you forget, we have discussed these issues and they remain pertinent. It was as humble as that. And in doing so, I wanted to summon her memory to recollect the fact that we are grappling with a big problem, because a party is a big thing. For you to build a party with a view of taking power, you're going to deal with very complex issues beyond the disagreements of what is what and what is not. And therefore, when you have seniors like Dr. Rina, then when in times like these, they should never be used as Trojan horses. They should be available to try and guide and even step on some toes using their seniority to say, hey, guys, that's not the way. That is the way to the tall grass. The better way is this way. And it was intended to summon her full presence and her memory.
Do you long to be back to Kavulia in your office as Deputy President when the suspension is lifted?
It's not just a longing. My participation and involvement in NUP is voluntary. And therefore, my interest in building NUP is part of my conviction. I'm convinced that I have a duty to do, and that duty is not personal, but institutional. And therefore, nobody can stop me from playing my role as long as I'm interested. But I must make it clear to all and sundry that it's not proper to try and undermine people's effort with a view of achieving short-term goals. Because at the end of the day, we are a chain and we are different. I will not wake up tomorrow to be Kyagulanyi. And Kyagulanyi will not wake up tomorrow to be Matthias Mpuuga. We are different, and our roles are complementary. They're not competitive. The tendency to see, when politicians see each other as competitors, there's always a problem. And when competition becomes unhealthy, then those that have power have a tendency to abuse it.
Has it now hit you that you were never meant to work together with Honorable Kyagulanyi?
I am never meant to work with anyone. I have a duty to work with everybody because that's the way humans work. There are no people born to work with you. That's why you don't marry your sister or your relatives. You marry a stranger you have met. Politics is marriage. And in marriage, the enduring factor is ability to compromise.
But this was a marriage of convenience that has hit the rocks.
Well, the convenience you're talking about, I'm not aware of. The fact that you're building a party, ideology is cultivated over time. Culture is built over time. It's not an event that you go to Kavule and build a party culture.
You were welcomed as a migrant to the National Unity Platform.
So were there NUP before I joined? Was there NUP before I joined? Are you aware of the existence of NUP?
There was Chibalama's NUP.
Was it NUP or NURP?
NURP.
So were there NUP?
Which later morphed into National Unity Platform.
But you know the facts, so don't mislead viewers. There was no NUP. NUP, and you remember there was a legal problem. It was a problem of the law because I was in the parliament and I was on a DP ticket. So there was no way I would come out very early.
I want to play you footage where
declare,
you were being welcomed into the party.
Those are rituals. Play it. They are rituals. So are you saying that the Honorable Kyagulanyi does not have a party card? It's a big thing to appear to be giving Matthias Mpuuga a card publicly. Are you alive?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So it's huge. It's big. I am not Simon Njara Kagwa from Busiro South. I am Matthias Mpuuga.
That's the day you were welcomed into the party.
Exactly, because I was seeding a green and white card and bearing a new card. That ought to have been done. It was okay, and so many others.
But again, do you appreciate that it was because of the magnanimity of Honorable Bobby Wine that he appointed you deputy president?
Did you say magnanimity?
Yes.
You see him as a king? Is that your view of him?
In this case, is a principle.
Parties are built mutually, mutual effort, mutual contribution. There's not a single individual powerful enough to go it alone. You work, you compromise, you work with others. But in leadership, it's one at a time. For anybody to speak about magnanimity is actually spite at the highest level. Why was it me appointed, not anybody else at that time?
No, he cherry-picked
Did I compete?
Alone, just alone.
So did I compete with anybody? Was there a competition? It's because the situation of the party is such that he appoints.
Yes, and disappoints.
It's very okay. But you can only do what the party constitution allows you to do.
No, but there is no constitution, like you'd argue. Okay.
No,
there is a problematic constitution.
Yeah, there is. But Simon, the question that must be clear is that appointments of the nature are done because you mutually agree that each of you has a contribution to make.
Yes.
Okay?
And in his wisdom, he found you undeserving and suspended you.
Well, that is for the comfort of your politics. But did he say that he found me undeserving? Was he the same person who was all praises at my handover? Do you find that consistent?
I want you to refer to the letter that he wrote while discharging you from the office of Deputy President. He said, just a second, I just want to draw your attention to the letter. He said, you have thus far failed to provide any satisfactory explanation for engaging in this action, which goes against the vision, mission, and objective of the party. It also goes against Article 5.3b of the party, which obligates party members, in accordance with the Article 6.3 and 7.1 of the party constitution, I hereby suspend you from the position of Deputy President of the National Unity Platform for Central Region with immediate effect, and accordingly refer the matter to the National Executive Committee for further processing. This gives you a sense that it's legal.
Simon, I don't have space to discuss that because all that you are reading, I know the genesis, and I don't want to escalate it because, like I said some time back, it's not clothed anywhere in the legal regime of the party. Secondly, how do you speak about the hierarchy of somebody already declared guilty before an investigation, then suspended, then investigate? I think there's a problem, you can see. But I don't want to go into that space because escalation of conflict for me is helpless. Doesn't help the cause for which I stand for. I prefer to go for higher goals.
You look and sound emotionally drained by the current crisis. How far can you go?
Well, I don't know your measure of emotional drain that you're using. The fact that I'm able to come here and speak to the nation means that I'm available. But make no mistake, I am human. To see through actions of spite, actions that are not anchored anywhere in any law, then I'm like, probably my president is being surrounded by people not helpful. Probably my president is, there's somebody breathing down his neck and therefore disabling him from being able to think deeply about every action and how the action cascade and their impact on the party. You see, for you to wake up and say Simon is a thief, it's a strong statement. You don't simply say it. And after saying it, then you say, please supply evidence. So what are you trying to do? So these are the kind of situations that make me lean back and say, okay, I think there's a big problem. The problem is not about the suspension. The problem has nothing to do with the request that you exit the commission. You saw the tweet by the Party Secretary General about my exiting the commission. That, what we wanted to do is to make sure that the country is aware that this person works for NRM. We have achieved it. So what was he saying? That this was actually was informing the country that we have been choreographing something. It's not coming out well, but we have chosen this path. That was the meaning of the tweet, that they have been working on something for some time. It hit a wall. He has found a shortcut. I think it now appears good. It's okay now. So when you hear that and see that, and you are sensible and reasonable, you lean back and say, well, I will go for the higher goals. I won't be drawn into this micro conflict.
The party spokesperson once hinted that you hide under the Buganda.
Which spokesperson?
Senyor Joel. That you hide under Buganda, the umbrella of Buganda Kingdom, or Wechitiwa, to conceal your misdeeds. What's your take?
I don't think I have a response to that. My young brother, I think, needs to settle in that office and occupy it properly and fully. It's a very serious office. It has a lot of bearing, not just on NUP, but the country. And if he needs my help, I'll help him. I have a history.
You pledged to help him, but you don't seem to be helping him.
Well, help is sought if you need it. You don't volunteer help in political spaces. You can be easily misconstrued. So I was saying that I have a history. If that history discomforts some people, I don't know how to help them. So I don't really have much to say to that.
Do you endorse the missives from your colleague, Honorable Abed Bwanika, towards the party?
So what kind of endorsement would one do? And what are the missives for your purpose?
Well, he's talking about issues to do with how the party is being run. And he sounds to be the #1 sympathizer of Honorable Matthias Mpuuga.
Well, I think Dr. Bwanika, first of all, is a senior political leader in this country, no doubt about that. And when he talks about a party being run parallel to known norms, I think he knows what he's talking about. It's whether he's a supporter. I don't have supporters. No. There are people out there who are reasonable to think through the problems. He could be one of them. Probably one of the few with the courage to speak out. Because at Parliament, so many members of Parliament are close to me. And they prefer to speak in whispers. Probably the Honorable Bwanika is one of the few that have someone the courage to say, hey, these issues must be spoken about. It's whether his approach adds value to what ought to be done is a matter for another day. But at least he's been able to speak out. Don't forget the fact that we come from the same community. We serve the same community of Masaka City. Probably he naturally has a soft spot for me because we have endured so much. But most importantly, he has a clear understanding of...
yeah, but the things he's raising sound rather unpalatable, connecting the party to homosexuality.
The Honorable Abed Bwanika is a fluent communicator. Why don't you host him tomorrow and seek his views on this platform? I'm not his spokesperson, and he should be able to speak out, question the wisdom of the issues he raises and why he raises them now, and whether they have any relationship with how the party is run.
Wouldn't prudence dictate that you get these matters out of media spotlight and have a silent engagement with the person you call your president?
But you invited me here to speak, and I have spoken. But I'm not controversial. I think where you need to speak, why I came, for example, here to speak to the country is because I need to clarify particular positions I hold on these issues.
Yeah, but you're sounding quite ambiguous on a number of things. The party is under siege. Who has besieged the party? You're not disclosing.
No, who says I should disclose to Simon Kagwanjala?
You came to speak.
Yeah. If, you know, for the difference between me and you is that, and others, maybe not you, is that I know what to speak where. Okay? And when I make a small disclosure that the party is under siege, my expectation is that I am actually asking whoever is in charge to try to plug the holes. And if they don't do it, and the siege continues,
he who alleges must prove.
Eventually there will be capture. If the siege is not abated, there will be capture of the party by forces hitherto unplanned for. Okay. The best way of insulating the party from siege is building structures of the party that are anchored on the party constitution and the values of the party.
You were referred to the National Executive Committee, and there's been some bit of controversy regarding the National Executive Committee? Does it exist in the first place?
Simon, the party has a neck. Challenge is referred to its functionality and how it is constituted. But that's for another day.
So the issue of constitution of NEC is sticky within the party, right?
Definitely.
When you look broadly at the opposition now as it stands, do you think it still has its eyes on the ball of removing President Museveni, or you're totally in disarray and thinking other things?
The opposition, like I said earlier on, is various. It's a shared platform. But the actors are different and their motivation seems to be different. Which is why when you have the entirety of the opposition, committed opposition actors on a round table, you're able to have a voice. If the voice of reason is able to surmount the voice of symptoms, simple things, then we'll be able to have a common voice. The opposition does not refer to leadership per se. The opposition is the growing number of citizens that want to see Uganda move differently, and there are many out there. We are simply duty bearers, and we can change any day. But while we are in charge, we have a duty to sit together and agree on the trajectory of events we ought to do. Pronouncements made by each small group moving in a different direction does not help the cause of the entire opposition that wants change yesterday. So which is why immediately we need to, away from desiring pictures that, we met, you see, we are together. The actions do not speak to the pictures that we take variously. So we need to be speaking to the public shows. We need to be speaking to, our actions and emotions must be together.
As we get out of here, there is a popular call on you to summon the courage to leave the party. Some people are saying, "Avem chintu chabanne akole bibie."
Chabani.
Chabobi.
Then you're telling it's as though you're saying Bobby is building a small thing, Azimba Kantuke. He's never implied to me the Azimba Kantuke. The impression I get from him is that commonly and together we are building an organization. Okay? If I ever discover that that's not the intention, then I'll have to
so reality hasn't hit you yet that this is his vehicle, it's his thing.
If it's your thing, it will collapse on your back. And I am yet to hear it from him that actually all the energy, all the time he's expending is building a small thing for himself. And I'm helping him not to do that because it is fatal.
Is the party taking the direction of a cult?
That is Simon. I have never built a cult. I don't know how they're built. If I see one being set up and I construe it as one, I'll be one to lead the dismantling of that cult.
Well, that brings us to the end. What a pleasure hosting you, Honorable Matthias Mpuuga. The unanswered question remains, what next for Honorable Mpuuga as he navigates the storm within the National Unity Platform? Good morning.